Hi, good morning. I have a little friend with me here. Here is my Infinity. Hasn't she just got the most beautiful red hair? And basically, we're going to be doing a crochet tutorial. Now, this one's a little bit of fun, really. I decided to create this little owl hat. And what inspired me is, I will show you in a second, I've got these really cute owl buttons. So I didn't want this to deliberately look like an owl because I wanted to use the button on it to sort of give it a little bit of a feature. I think she looks super cute. I think it looks sort of quite autumnal and winter as well, because this is a variegated yarn that I've used. Well, it's not variegated. What do they call it? It's got like a marl effect. It's like little bits in it. I'm probably using the wrong terms completely. I usually am. So we're going to go top down and have a go at making this hat. It is super easy. So it'd be great for any of you beginners out there. Don't forget I'm using UK terms. You may want a conversion chart. I'll put a little basic one in my description below, but say you might want one. It's handy to have one anyway, because I know I've bought patterns online and they've been US patterns, not really realizing to start with. So it's always just one of those handy things to have about. So Infinity and I are going to get on with this hat. If you do enjoy my channel, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and let's go top down and get a little smarty hat made. So here we are with my beautiful Infinity here wearing her really cute little hat. I thought the little tufts, you know, you can get little owls with little tufts. That's why I went for those. So you can see this is the button I was referring to, because I think that is super cute there. So that is just stitched on. And then this is a very basic hat. It's not going to take you long to make. A little bit tedious because you're doing the same rows all the time, or rounds. But it's nice to do. I just thought it was a bit of fun. Nice and autumnal, everything like that. So we're going to get going. I'm going to pop her to one side and we're going to get going on this hat. So in fact, I need to keep her, I'm saying that, I need to keep her for a minute. I'm going to take her hat off. A bit of hat hair there now, missus. And I'll just move you slightly to one side. I just wanted to have a little chat about what we need first. I have got a double knit yarn here. As I said variegated, didn't I? I don't really know what you call it. Is it a marl effect, a tweedy effect? Whatever. Obviously you use whatever yarns you prefer to use. We also have a 3mm crochet hook. I have my scissors, my needle, my very cute little button, and I have sewing cotton because I sewed the button on. I don't stick things on, I like to sew them on, and obviously my needles as well, so we don't need those yet, so push them to one side. Now I have already sort of started this for you guys because I don't think you want to watch me do all the chain. Now this is 48 chain. Now I've stopped it here because I want to show you how it might differ depending on your tension. I've done 48 chain, but you need to check it on your doll before you continue. Otherwise you might end up with a hat too big, too small. Now basically I'm taking this obviously around the back of her head. I'm not pulling it tight. So you can see there's a bit of a gap if I do that. And then if I pull it a little bit, you can see. Can you see? You might not be able to see, my hands are in the way, aren't they? So it needs to sort of join with a tiny stretch. Doesn't want to be tight. You need to be able to move it. But you can see if I just sort of did it gently, there's a little gap. But again, it depends on the hair as well. So I'll pull it too, and you can see there's a little bit, if I tip her up a bit, you can see there's a little bit of space there if you stretch it. And that's what you want. You don't want it too big, too small. So you might need to play about with that depending on your tension. So I can pop her over there now. So that's why I decided to do the chain first, to show you sort of what I was referring to. So that's our base. We are starting with, in my tension, 48 chain. You check yours. It will make no difference to the pattern if you end up with 46 or if you end up with 52. It won't make any difference. The pattern is so simple. There's no increasing, no decreasing. It should be an absolute doddle for that reason. So we need to pop this back on the hook. Let me wind a bit of that yarn out before it starts rolling everywhere and driving me batty. I have a pen and paper over here, and off we go. So into the first chain, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of these. This is our first row. It's already splitting. This yarn's very strange. It's very lovely, but I don't know whether it's because it's the two colours together. It has a tendency to separate, and also it's got quite a bit of a fluff to it. It is an acrylic yarn, But you know, like when you get a wool, I'm sure it's just a pure acrylic, you get all these little tiny sort of hairs, and those are what are catching when you do your stitches, which you do get in pure wool quite a bit, but don't usually get it in an acrylic. So I don't know whether it's got something added. I've lost the ball band for it, so I can't really tell you. I can tell you it is a Stylecraft yarn, I can tell you that much, but I'm 100% sure it's just acrylic. So we're going just one double crochet into every single one of these 48 chain, or however many chain you've ended up with. Now, don't forget UK terms before somebody screams at me and says, that's a single crochet. They wouldn't be wrong. It is a single crochet in the US. But over here in the UK, which is obviously where I'm from, we call it a double crochet. It does cause confusion sometimes. It's exactly the same stitch, it's just a different name for it. For whatever reason, I've no idea. I think somebody just decided to complicate things in the beginning. I have put a very brief sort of description of what a single crochet is to the equivalent to a double crochet, etc., in the description. But those conversion charts are great. They're all over Google. Usually in a crochet book magazine, there's usually something. Well, I know there is here, so I'm hoping that sort of the magazines and books that are anywhere else also do have those conversion charts. I think they will. I'm 100% sure they will. I keep saying that. I'm very 100% sure on everything today, aren't I? And then I'm probably wrong at that. So we're over halfway here. Now, you may think, well, why didn't I just join when I was the chain? I don't join when it's just the chain because the chain can twist. And then that spoils or makes it very hard to do the first section, the foundation row. So I like to do mine as a double crochet row, and then I join, because I'm going to join it in a second to create a circle, and then we will carry on working in the round. But there will be a different stitch, so don't carry on with you. If you're in front of me, don't carry on with double crochets. Well, you could actually do the hat like that, but you would need more rounds, that's all. It's rows, rounds. I'm getting sort of all tongue-tied here because they're both, aren't they? So we're almost at the end here. Ta-da. Couple more stitches. You know, I thought it was cooler today because it's very grey out there, and I'm absolutely roasting sat here. I think it's because I've got the lights on as well. So we're round, just tighten that up slightly. Now I need to make sure this is really flat, so I'm going to turn it over, keep it really lovely and flat, fold it, and I want to get into that first. As you can see, it folds over sometimes, so we need a little bit of a fight there. Into that first double crochet we did, and if it doesn't catch, slip stitch through. Yay, it's sort of caught. Don't worry about this bit, because the thing is, when you sew these in, you can stitch that together, so you won't have a little gap anymore. So don't be sort of thinking, oh, well, it's going to leave me a big gap. Just taking some more of this yarn out, because it won't. It'll be fine. In fact, I'm just going to pause a second to tie my hair up, because I am very warm. Bear with me. That's a bit better. I actually do tie my hair up when I'm working. It's weird because I do sort of the intros, my hair's down, but it drives me mad actually. It's really ready for cutting, but my hairdresser has moved, so I need to find a hairdresser. But yeah, I tie my hair up when I'm working because it just gets in my way. Anyway, back to our little owlie hat here. As I mentioned, the stitch is going to change. I'm going to now change to a half treble, again, UK half treble. So for us, we're going to start with 2 chain. That counts as our first stitch, because this first one we can't really work as a round. After we will do. I'll explain that at the end of this round. So we're going to do yarn round it. Lots of rounds there, wasn't there? Into the stitch, pull it through, and then we need to pull it through all 3. Okay, and you're going to do that again. Yarn round into the next stitch, pull it through all 3, and that is our half treble. Nice stitch. It's a longer stitch than a double crochet, but it's not too long that it makes it gappy. It makes it quite solid, so that is why I do like it as a stitch. It sort of grows faster, but you say you're not getting all the gaps. I mean, you could do this hat in a treble. Like I said, you could do it in a double crochet if you really wanted to. It's just about getting the length right to fit on your doll, so you just have to keep trying it on her head basically. So 1 half treble into every single one of these stitches. So this is going to count as our round 1. So I wasn't planning on making an owl hat, but when I saw those buttons, we went into a shop I've never been in before, but my granddaughter was doing a dance competition, I think last weekend, I lose track of time, and there's a little village there, so my husband says, oh look, there's a wool shop. You really shouldn't have said that. I don't need any wool at all. And I didn't really, well, I did buy wool, I'm fibbing. I was going to say I didn't really buy wool, but I did. I bought 2 balls, but it was the little buttons I saw, and I thought, you gotta get them. For what? I don't know, but I could see them on a hat. Didn't know who they were going to be for, what doll. I mean, to be honest, they'd look really cute with my blythes, won't they, or my middies. In fact, I might make Midi some little owl hats, because they'd be super cute, wouldn't they? Because it is such an easy pattern. As I say, you get your chain length right around the doll's head, and then we're just doing rounds or rows, whatever you want to call them at this point, because I'm still not quite at a round. We have joins, so I can count it as a round. Oh, we have a little split. Stop the stitches. If we split the yarn, stop, take that stitch out and carry on. So it's easy enough with crochet. I know it's a different matter with knitting, but we can do that with crochet. So yeah, Midi would look super cute. I might have to make one for Midi. My Midi would like one, I think. And I might make a couple for the stall, because at the end of October, for the first time, we have actually got a BJD fair here in the UK. It's a convention fair, whatever you want to call it. So it's really exciting, and I've managed to get a stall. I don't know what it's going to be like. I get the impression there's quite a few people go. It's sort of like a ticket only one, and it should be a really good day. Well, I hope it will be. I know I've got a few friends that are going as well, so it's nice to see them again. So as I say, I've got a stall, so I need to make some hats, don't I? Because I know when I do my DollyCon one, yeah, the Cindy Pippa hats, all those, but I don't really think that's what people are going to be looking for at the BJD, so I'm going to concentrate on smartdoll, Blythe, Midi Blythe. I will take some of my smaller hats, because some people have some little tiny weeny ball jointed dolls as well, so they might want some little hats. But on average, I'm going to concentrate on the slightly larger ones. Right, we're round, aren't we? Right, now you were going to be tempted here to slip stitch join. I don't want you to. Well, you can if you really want to, but I'm trying to avoid that ugly seam that you can sometimes get. So I'm going to yarn round into the top of that 2 chain, pull it through, and do a half treble. And from now on, it's going to be half treble with no joins, just continually round. So I'm going to mark off that that is my first one. We need 9 more rounds. Now you might want to check your size about 8 on your doll, because sometimes some doll head is sort of deeper. That sort of crown to sort of forehead can be deeper on some dolls. So it's worth a check before you do that final one. So off we go. This is our round 2. So I'm going to properly call them rounds now, of our half treble in every single stitch. It's quite a nice stitch. You sort of flow after a while. If you're a little bit unsure with it, you don't have to, you know how I take it through all 3, you can actually go through like that. And if you're a bit nervous about doing it, or it won't come through, some yarn won't let you, you can go 2 and 1 like that. As long as it comes through all 3 with that one little bit of yarn, that's all that really matters. So off we go. Some of you now will be sort of pausing me and whizzing off and doing yours. I don't know whether you put some music on or something like that. Or don't forget, you can slow me down if you would rather do it that way. Just, I wouldn't recommend you listen to my voice if you do that. Of course, it sounds like I've been maybe drinking a little bit more. That makes it sound like I drink. I don't even drink. It makes me sound like I've been drinking alcohol, shall we say? We should clarify there. But yeah, it sounds weird, shall we put it that way? If you're staying with me while you do it, I know some of you do crochet along with me as well, which is absolutely fabulous. I love the idea of that. Say hi, pop a comment in below. It's hard. I do understand it's hard for some people to crochet along. Some people will say I'm too fast. Some people will say I'm too slow. Some people say I talk too much. it's really hard to have it right for everybody. And I know when I was first doing the videos, I was sort of a bit worried about that. But then I decided, well, it's who I am. You know, there are various different settings you can do on YouTube, various different things you can do. So I thought, well, I'll just go for it. I know I talk too much. I know I do. Oh, nearly missed that stitch. But I also do like you to see warts and all when I'm crocheting. If I go wrong, I want you to see it's no big deal. I've gone wrong. Well, take it out, do it again. I don't want people to think it is always perfect, because no matter who you are, well, there might be the odd person, I don't know, but on average, we're all learning, no matter what stage we're at. We're all making mistakes. Just accept it and change it. It's as simple as that. You just sort of move on, undo, and carry on. Oh, or maybe not, because that my hook will not go in. Behave. I swear I tempt fate when I do something like that. And then something starts to go wrong. Like this. I'm going to blame the wool. It's not really. Was it something about a poor workman blames his tools? Or I don't know. It's some old wives saying something like that. Right, we are round for our number 2. So let's mark it down. I'm having to use it. You can see it's a red pen. I don't usually use a red pen, but my son, before he left the house, went, "Have you got a pen?" I went, "Yeah, there's one on my table," and he's taken it. So I had to grab a red pen. Right, round 3. Off we go. I'm actually going to try this on Infinity in a second, because when I was making the first one, the one she's wearing, I sort of thought, oh, actually, does it have to be a hat? Could it be a headband? And I must admit, it does look quite nice on her. So I'm going to show you, because it is, you know, if you didn't want to carry on doing a hat, it's something you could do. And I think it would look quite cute. Well, we'll get round this round first, and then I'll grab her. About halfway there. Keep dropping it. Now, obviously, you might not be able to get the same owl button as I've got to do all this hat, but believe you me, if you go on eBay or craft sites or anything like that, there are dozens and dozens of different types of owls. So you could do anything. You don't even have to do an owl button. That was just something I wanted to do. You could completely turn into an owl if you wanted to. Pop some big button eyes on perhaps. Or I know I have done that for other dolls. I mean, I've not done it for these. But I have done it for other dolls like that. So you could turn it into a little owl if you wanted to. I just wanted the button to be the hero. That's why I didn't do that this time. So almost round with this. How many more? Oh, I think we've got probably... It always feels like I'm almost there, but like I said, that must be nearly 20 extra stitches. I'm over halfway, I know that much. As much as this yarn is a little on the irritating, it is very pretty how it comes out. I've actually got some blue in this as well, which I think sort of makes a really nice, I don't know, sort of a denim-y sort of look, and that's a really pretty one actually. I'm trying to think which hats to make for UKBGD, and I keep pulling a ball of yarn out. Oh, that'll make a nice one, that'll make a nice one. I'll be making hats forever if I keep doing that. Right, we're going to say we are round. Now, I'm not using a stitch marker, I'm just using this bit. So that's 3. So let's, oh, that pen likes rolling around. Let's grab her in again. Pull that long before I lose it. Right, let's have a look how we are fitting at the moment. Right, that is looking okay. But what I thought is, you know, you can get these headbands that sort of just come, you know, winter, you just wear them there. Sometimes they're fur, sometimes they're sort of fabric, sometimes they're yarn. But I thought that would look quite cute. And again, if you just pop the little button on, you've got a really cute sort of winter headband. I thought that was quite cute. I might make some of those. I think I'd want ear flaps though as well, but I might do some of those for the store. So I've got to stop adding extra things on. I keep thinking, oh, that and that and that and that, and I'm never going to get them done if I keep doing that. So back to the hats. That's only 3 rounds. We've got another 7 to go. So let's pull the hat in so you can see how much further we've got basically. There's also minimal sewing in with this one. So off we go. We'll get going first before I start talking. So this is round 4. There is also, as I say, minimal sewing up. You will literally just have that yarn tail you can see hanging now, and you will have a yarn tail at the end. We're not sewing in along the top, we are crocheting along the top, which is a great way to finish things off. There we go. I'm going to have to pause. My son is calling. Bear with me. Right, I'm back after that. Yes, it was my son at the door. I've actually ended up with the bigger breaks. Then I ended up getting distracted and I've only just come back to doing the video. Anyway, we've just got, I just started, should I say. That's where my start point was. Just started my 4th round, hadn't I? Got to remind myself where I was now. So we're going to finish that 4th one off first. Off we go. So remember, half trebles. I'm reminding myself more than you. So here we go with our half trebles, because I've been crocheting something else in between time. So I've been doing some little lamb hats. You may have seen my lamb hat video. Love that hat. I really do. But one of the reasons I've sort of wanted to do something for my smart doll more than anything else, if you are a smart doll collector, you may have seen there is going to be a new girl on the block. There is going to be the pear girl. Now, some people don't like her because obviously she's a curvy girl. Some people are not sure. Some people think she's amazing. I am now in the amazing category. When she first came out, when I heard they were doing it, I'm like, oh, what's she gonna look like? You know, I mean, I know I'm not exactly skinny, but you know, I'm thinking I can't imagine that as a doll. But she is absolutely beautiful. They've done a really, really beautiful job of this doll. So now I have her on my wish list. She's not out yet. They've been running through lots of prototypes, things like that. So it's looking good. If you've seen her or you're thinking of getting her, pop me a comment below. See, let's see what everybody else thinks as well. But she is super pretty. Now, the hat thing regarding her was because I was a little concerned that the head might be larger. Now, this is yarn. Most yarn will stretch, so you do get away with it, but you don't want something overstretched and then it looks messy. So the way to find out was I actually contacted, and I bet some of you follow these people, My Lady Disdain. Now, it's an amazing channel. I do watch it, and it's all smart doll news basically, and a few other bits and bobs, but it is essentially a smart doll news YouTube channel. And so it's great to sort of see what's happening. And they actually got sent a prototype pear girl. So I'm like, oh, this is fabulous. So I thought, well, send them a message, see what they say, to find out if the head size was the same. All right, let me just write that down. That's round 4. So she was really lovely when she got back to me, and we had a little chat, well, message chat. And apparently it's the same wig size. So I think that gives me sort of a really good idea that it's going to be the same hat size as well. And as I said, because it is yarn, if it needed that little bit of extra stretch, which should be fine. So thank you so much for that, both of you at My Lady Disdain. I'm going to be sending a couple of little hats as a gift for helping me out. So it set me off on doing some hats again, which I needed to do because I have UKBJD in October and I needed to get my stock up because obviously after DollyCon I sell quite a few things. So it's a good way of making me get working at the same time. But we're on, what are we on? We're on round 5, aren't we? Oh, I'm terribly distracted, aren't I? It's growing this nicely, as you can see. I will pop a link in for My Lady Disdain if you have not seen the channel. I think if you're a smart doll collector, there's a good chance you have seen her, probably interacted, etc. I'm saying her. It's a husband and wife team. They have a huge amount of knowledge, and it's just great to sort of see some reviews of what's coming out, you know, what they've bought, any collabs they've done, things like that. So definitely worth a watch. So I'll definitely pop over there. About yeah, just over halfway for round 5. Thing is though, we're on round 5 now, so that means we are halfway full stop. Now, you, as I said before, you might only need 9 rounds. I can't see you needing more than 10. If your work has been that tight, I suspect the hat is going to be too small anyway. So as I said, please keep checking on your dolls, because I can't guarantee what everybody else's tension is like. Right, I'm trying to keep nearer the top of my frame here. I think I said in my last crochet tutorial, somebody commented something I never thought about. It was a very valid comment as well. Because they required the subtitles come up. Obviously, the subtitles come up here, don't they? So if I'm crocheting here, the subtitles are going over it, so they can't actually see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to make myself stay higher up on the actual screen. Although I did see some of my I had to look for a certain video for somebody, so I went back and I looked at one of my older videos. Well, I mean, I'm not exactly a genius now with them because I don't understand some of the technology, but oh, compared, some of my first ones look really rough, to be honest. I know obviously cameras, etc., weren't the same then, but it was really funny to look back at them, to be honest. It's quite nice to see the progression. Right, so we've got 5 rounds now, so you can see, yeah, looking good. I mean, I'm saying 5. What we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. That actually looks like 4 more, doesn't it? Have I missed one? I'm just checking I'm using the right hook now. It's amazing what hook size can make a difference. Yeah, I'm there. So we got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there is 5 more. Sometimes it's hard to tell when on a finished item how many rounds or rows there are. So off we go. We have number 6. If you're still with me, thank you for listening to my drivel. And as I said before, please pop a comment below to see if I'm not talking to myself. So let's get round with this. I just thought I've moved my smart doll as well. She's not on the table, which she should be, because we need to try it on her. I know where she is. She's directly behind me because I took her downstairs yesterday. That's why I said there's been a big gap. Actually, yesterday I started this video and I'm on the next day now to finish it because I ended up having to sort other things out. So I took her downstairs last night because I was making the little lamb hats. And she's still in the basket. That's all that I took her downstairs in. Let's get a bit more of that yarn out. I mean, some of you might even be faster than me. You might have already finished. But I sort of, I've said before, I try and keep somewhere in between for the speed of my work. I don't think I'm overly fast, but I know a couple of people have commented. Sort of at the beginning more than anything. They don't seem to comment so much now. I think probably because I make the suggestions about changing in settings, etc., or perhaps they just don't like to watch me anymore. I don't know. Oh, it's so hard to please everybody sometimes. This yarn's going to start rolling around soon, I know it is. I need to get another chocolate orange cover made as well. That's something else. Although saying chocolate orange, I don't know whether where you are you have these. I got an orange, well again, loosely saying the word orange, the other day because I need to do a Halloween one. And this, ta-da, is what we got. It's a chocolate mint. It's not a chocolate orange, but it is still orange shaped. So it means I can still make my chocolate cozies. I haven't got a clue what it tastes like. Love mint chocolate, so there's a good chance it's gonna taste pretty good. So that's the new one that they've brought out. Not that that's got any bearing on what I'm making at the moment, just thought I'd let you know. I was saying that, no it wouldn't, I think it's too wide. I was saying, would it fit on the orange? It'd be too wide and too shallow to sort of sit on the top. Right, so that's round 6. We have 4 more rounds to go. And I think what I'm going to do is when I've done the next 3, we'll try it on her then, just to confirm. And I want to show you how it fits, because to make, just looking at it like that, it doesn't look much. But when you put it on her, because of the shape of her head, it's when it sort of makes it look like the little ears are sticking up and things like that. And that is why there's a certain point you do need to stop when you are making it. Otherwise, it'll just sit square like that. I know you'll see round and about, there's like some people do the pussycat hats that are like that, or I mean for people, not necessarily dolls, or you'll get fox ones. I mean, I know I did some fox ones for Cindy, and essentially it was the same shape. I mean, a lot more detailing because I did actually make it look like a fox, but yeah, same shape. But when you put it on the head, because of the roundness of the head, it forces the shape of the hat out differently. Oh, what did I say I'm on? I'm on round 7, aren't I? Yeah, 7, which means we're en route to get there. It's very, 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 very simple hat, really. It's just, it can be a little bit boring because you're just going round and round and round and round for X amount of time. But it is worth it, I think, in the long run. Yeah, I said about this wool, I think I said about this wool, that's the problem. I started this video yesterday. I've just had a quick look at what I had videoed up to that point, but I sort of forgot what I'd said. So apologies if I'm repeating myself at any point. But I'm just going to refer to this yarn again. I think I said it was an acrylic. I might not have, but anyway, it's an acrylic. Which is usually a pretty soft yarn, but then there's these little fluffy bits which you usually get in a wool. I'm gonna have to check. I'm sure it's not got any wool content in it, because it's just one of the Stylecraft yarns that they do with the basic range. But it does actually feel a little rough in my fingers as well. Right, we are round again. That is number 7. So we're going to do 2 more and then we're going to check. Although the lamb hat, I don't know whether anyone's, I do get distracted, don't I? The lamb hat, I don't know whether anyone's done it, but I thought I'd got a pattern for it on my website, because I went to start it yesterday and I thought, oh, where's my pattern? So I thought, I'll look on computer, perhaps I've just not printed it off. It wasn't on there as well. So it was quite funny last night, because I was watching my own YouTube channel to remember how to make the hat. I mean, I only had to take notes, but even so, I still had to refer back to my own channel, which everybody thought that was funny. But yeah, I do need to make it into a pattern. I have a few patterns to make, well, not make, to actually type up. Somebody's requested the little mouse that I've done, and also I want to get this lamb one done, and the last Blythe one, the Christmas pudding one. I think that ought to be on the site as well. So I've got quite a bit of typing. I don't mind typing, it just that it takes me away from sort of doing the things I need to do or want to do. But I have to do it, otherwise I have no patterns on there. Let's have a little look. Yep, and that's okay. It does feel like it's going out like that. It will do. Look, can you see? It's got a slight wider sort of effect. It's not that you've added any stitches in. It's just obviously because where your chain side is, it's a little bit tighter, so it pulls it in. But that's okay. For this pattern, that works really well because it makes the ears stick up even further. So don't be sort of panicking. I mean, obviously, if it's going way out, you need to check your stitches. Just do a quick stitch count. We need 48 stitches, or I think we end up with 47 actually, because I did 48 chained into, and then I did a DC row. So that for that 48th stitch becomes the turning chain. but again, your stitches might be more or less anyway. But whatever you started with, whatever your first double crochet row was stitch wise, that's what you need your work to be when you get to the end. So hopefully you've not added in any stitches or decreased any stitches, because it will change the shape of the hat if you do that. Right, we're round again. This is looking good. Don't know, it's because I'm speeding up, so that's 8 rounds. So this one, and then we're trying it on, remember. I don't know whether it's just because I'm coming towards the end, but it feels like it's going a bit faster now. I don't know, it's like a little race. It feels like when I get towards the end. It's weird, I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love crochet, obviously, because I do so much. But there's great satisfaction to coming to the end of a project. Or I hate sewing in, for example, sewing all the bits and bobs up and things like that. But there's a great satisfaction to actually completing it. So it's a very strange scenario. I need to get told infinity in a minute, don't I? Oh, look, we've got a bit of a split. There we go. Take it out. Do it again. I've got this yarn in a denim blue as well, which is nice. I might get that out to make some pom-pom hats, because I do like the effect it creates. I don't know yourselves whether you're knitters and crocheters. If you are, you will know that one yarn looks different in crochet than it does in knitting. It's like you get yourself sort of striping yarns. I mean, my mum's just made me some bits and bobs. I mean, for example, I've got the hat here. This is a little hat my mum made for me. It's a knitted one. It's absolutely gorgeous. But you know how you get this self-patterning with a yarn? When you do it with a crochet, it doesn't work the same. So you do get slightly different effects depending on what you're doing. Bit of fluff there. No, it's not. It's a bit of doll hair. I thought it was my hair at first, and then I could see that there was like a nice bright red colour to it. So I know it's infinities. Nearly round, so we'll grab her in a second. We're moving down the camera again. Oh, I nearly did a double crochet. Don't want that. We need half trebles. That's if I don't drop them. Maybe another 12, 13 stitches, something like that. And we'll grab it and check. And the other thing I find is, you know, when you make your first hat, I make my first prototype hat, for some reason it's always tighter than the others, so sometimes I need to adjust after a first pattern. So that is the other reason I'm also checking to make sure it still fits. So if we look, what can you see? I think I might be there. I wonder if I miscounted first time. I'm sure I didn't. Right, well, here she is. So let's just pull that out so I'm not going to lose it. And let's try it on her head. I'm going to get all tangled on one of her hair everywhere. At the moment it just looks like a tube on her head, doesn't it? But take it down to the level you want. Her legs straight, she's not sitting properly there. So I'll take it down to where I'd want it, and then if I squeeze the top, now I'm going to find this hard to show. Apologies there, doll, but can you see I need it to join, and I do still have a little gap. I mean, these sides join, but that would make, if I pulled that up now, for example, it would make it a little bit short here. Again, depends on your doll, where their sort of their face up is, where their hair is, things like that. But yeah, for me, that's pulled up a little bit too far. So yes, I do need to do another row. So let's pop it over there. And we'll get this final round done. And then all we've got to do is actually crochet it together, which is the easy bit. And put some tufts on, of course, but that's, again, that's not a difficult little feat, and it's not really sewing them. I'm going to use a darning needle or a big wool needle to do it, but you know, it's not sewing up, for example. Here we are, final round. Again, I'm sure I start to move faster. It's like I said, like a race, that last little bit. Yes, gotta do it, gotta do it. Don't forget, if you do make one of these hats, or if you make any of my hats, please tag me on Instagram. I absolutely love to see it, and I love to see if people have done them in different colours, different types of yarns. In fact, a variegated yarn, not as an owl hat, just as a little pull-on sort of beanie type, sort of or pussycat hat, however you want to call it. It would look fabulous in a variegated yarn. And do another thing about yarn. I bought some the other day. I was really surprised because obviously a 4-ply is a finer yarn here in the UK. You've got 4-ply double knit, Aran and Chunky on average. I mean, there's like lower than that, but that's the basics. And I bought some wool the other day and it said it's double knit, but then it said 3-ply. I didn't think double knit was 3-ply. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. It feels like a double knit. It looks like a double knit. So I'm wondering if it's going to be a bit finer. So if I do one of my hats out of it, if I use one of my patterns I've already done, it is going to possibly need some adjusting because of that. So here we are, we count down. So watch out for that, because I know in the US you have worsted weight. Is it sports weight? Which are slightly different to ours. So again, if you're not in the UK, the patterns might change a bit. So we're round. So I'm going to say where this is the edge. So that's where I folded it. Don't worry about that bit. It will sew in and I'll keep that maybe sort of, well, it'll neaten up anyway, so don't worry about it. I know people are going, oh, there's a gap. It's fine. It'll be fine. Right, so I need to line them up approximately. You'll find they'll line themselves up, to be honest. And I'm going to go into the first stitch and I'm going to go all the way over to the other side and double crochet this time. In, double crochet. So we're doing that all the way along. It's just a case of making sure they are lined up, so as you're not sort of dropping and only getting part of the stitch. You need to make sure you're getting both sides, because you want both sides of the hat to look neat. One side will look slightly different to the other because of where the stitch is coming from, but you still want it neat. So for example, you can see how that sort of neat that is, and then I turn it over and it looks a little bit different, but it still needs to be neat. You don't need any sort of stitches sticking up or anything like that. So let's double crochet, carry on doing it. Because now we're really, apart from accessorizing the hat, we finished it. It's done. We'll have one last try on. In fact, no, we'll try it on her when we've completed it. I'm not going to sew the button on for you. I hope you can sew a button on. If you can't, then again, there's probably plenty of YouTube channels for that. And I know some of you might be chuckling at that, but a lot of people can't. If they're not used to doing that sort of craft, then they're just not going to have that skill. It's as simple as that. You can glue on your accessories or glue on a flower or whatever you're wanting to put on it. I just recommend be careful when you're using glues. I don't like to use glues because apart from that, it can end up looking messy, and because I sell my items, it can also fall off, and I don't want to sort of sell something to somebody. I've lost my scissors, let me just break that, and then they're coming to me saying it's fallen off. So everything I do is stitched on. So that is our basic square. So I need a pair of scissors, which are here. I have them. So this is the basic hat. We need to sew this in. We need to sew this in. I'm not going to. I just wanted to show you what is what. You decide which way you want the hat to face. I'm going to go with that one because I like the way it edges there. And with the same yarn, I'm just going to do it on one side for you. I'm going to cut, I don't know what we're looking at, maybe 15 inches. That is way too much, but it's easier to have too much and trim down because you need to put a knot in it, and it's nothing worse than trying to put a knot in something and it's really, really small. So I'm using one of these really chunky ones, so I need a large eye on there. I'm going to fold over, fold it in half, and push it through just a little bit, not all the way. And from the front, let me move the other two because we're going all tangled there. From the front of my work, I'm going to push it in, just the very, very top. Only pull it through, then take the needle out. So we have a loop and we have 2 long strands. We push the long strands through and ta-da! That's our first one. I've done 3. If you wanted to perhaps make it bushier, you could do more. But I'm going to show you what I would do with it anyway to make it a little bit fluffier. I actually didn't finish that one to do that. So you can see part way through. So I've pushed it in roughly the same area. You want to get it as near as possible, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Last one. It is best if you sew your ends in because it's easier to work with. I would normally do that, but obviously you don't want to watch me sew all the ends in. And pull it through. So we now have sort of 3 folded over strands, for want of a better word. I'm now actually going to make a knot, and I want to make it, I don't know whether you can see it in this one, as close. This is why if you've got a long piece it's easier. So I'm going to make a knot, but I want it as close as possible. You don't have to do the knot bit, but it really makes it, just make sure it's solid. So I'm trying to sort of do it slowly, don't rush it, get it as near as you can to the point of the hat, and then pull it tight. Yes, decide what length you want it at. I've gone for, I don't know, it's about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, something like that. And then just to make this a bit fluffier, I know I did this on another video. What video did I do it on? I've done it on one very recently. Anyway, but basically I'm going to separate the actual strands of the yarn, just using the sort of blunt end of my needle here. Be careful you don't spike yourself with it. And I'm just, sometimes they won't separate, so don't, I mean, I've started quite low down there and it's not playing. So I'm going to go a little bit higher. Keep it still. Again, it's easier when you can pull it towards you. There we go. So you see how it sort of fluffies up. These are quite tight strands, these. There we go. It's just getting that start of the separation and then it'll go. You can use a brush to brush it out, and that sort of makes it really quite fluffy. You could do that as well if you wanted to, or a comb, something like that. But if you're doing that, always start right from the end and slowly move up, because otherwise if you start from the top, it'll just tangle something terrible. So we have our fluffiness, or not fluffiness, that one doesn't want to go. There we go, that will do for me. So you can see sort of how fluffy. For example, that one I haven't fluffied. Fluffied, is that a word? Fluffied. And that one I have, so I think that looks quite cute like that. So infinity, over you come, missus. And I know I haven't sewn the ends in, but let's just see. Let me try and lay her down. She's hanging off the edge of the table here, so I don't want her to fall. So we'll pull it on, and you can see the effect we get. Is that cute? I think that is super cute. I've taken some photos of her, so you'll see sort of, but now that fits flush to the top of her head, and that is what you are wanting it to look like. So that is our little owl hat. We'll pop the other one on so you can see. I will finish off the other one by just, again, there you go, I just sew my cute little button on, which is here. So I've got a different needle size for that. I have my sewing cotton here, and that is our little owl hat. As I say, I've took a couple of pictures. I don't know if I'm gonna put, I might put them on the end as well. I know I used some for my thumbnail, but I will pop a couple on the end if you want to have a look how it actually sits. So thank you so much for being patient with that one. That was quite a long video, and yeah, a little bit tedious whilst we're doing this, but pleased you stayed with me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my channels, please like, subscribe and share. We've got Christmas things coming up, Halloweeny things coming up. I do need to do a few more bits for the smart doll as well, so hopefully there'll be some more patterns for her and the other dolls, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.